essence has a prominent place in our contemporary aesthetic scene. Some examples of these aesthetic trends include cottagecore, which centers around a slow, idyllic, natural lifestyle. Then we have the soft girl, which features a lot of pastels and femininity that's not hypersexualized, but that's not like unsexy either. And then we have the Parisian girl look, which features a minimalistic, understated, chic femininity.
There are many other aesthetics that fall into the style quadrant right down, but what they have in common is that they all emphasize, we think, a radiant and a delicate femininity. The right down woman, she will be approachable but simultaneously refined. She's like put together, but in having been put together, she appears and comes off as having dressed herself intuitively while doing it with minimal effort.
So welcome to this video and to Style Thoughts by Rita. Here we have our essence expert, Miraj.
Hey.
And today we're going to show you some celebrities that personify the right down aspect. Then we're going to talk about two archetypes in the quadrant. That's the Illuminatrix and the Sweetheart.
Ooh.
And I'm finally going to talk about how to identify yourself as a right down and give some tips for styling, tips and tricks.
Sounds exciting.
It is very exciting. In the last video, we did a bit of like an overview of the system, so we're not going to do that now. We're just going to remind you of our keywords, which are meant to kind of evoke the general mood and vibe of the right down.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's our keywords for the right.
Dreamy, inspiring, luminous, radiant, refined, the sun, and the shadow side over the right is the Ice Queen.
Okay, and for the down keywords, we have approachable, ease, understated, delicate, intuitive, and personable. And we've also come up with a few combinations which we think especially capture the downright lady, but this is not to like limit her or box her in.
Yeah, exactly. We just think like for the right down lady, some conjunction of this combination is gonna be exemplified in the majority of cases. Of course, there are all the combinations involved in the right down quadrant.
All of them.
Yes.
So they're dreamy and approachable, they are luminous and understated, and they are radiant and delicate. Those are our keyword selections. And previously we showed you 4 celebrities. That was Tia Sarkar, Taylor Swift, Solange, and Emilia Clarke. And today we're going to show you quite a few more. And we're starting off with Sofia Coppola. So to me, Sofia is a great exemplar to write down because she wears these outfits that are very refined, very right, but at the same time really have this ease, this intuition, this approachability about them. And what really makes these outfits easy and approachable and refined to me is that she's using kind of conservative looking cuts, but at the same time everything is kind of like smooth and flowy. It's just skimming the body. She's using these very simple colors, very minimal accessories. She has this very natural hairstyling that all just combines to this kind of refined but delicate beauty. And when Sofia tries to put on something that is a lot more expressive, I think that even though these clothes are really pretty and there's no real reason why they should look bad on her, I just think that immediately we don't really see her. It's really like there's this screen that has gone up between us and Sofia, and this is a big theme we're going to talk about for the right down women, this kind of like shielding the light that emanates from them when they're bringing in too much that drama, too much effort, too much mystery that comes with the outfits. So I put Sofia here, kind of like not super right, not super down.
The next celebrity we want to talk about is Laura Harrier. We think these are some outfits which she just looks great in. Comparing her to Sofia Coppola, she has like more of a dreamy element and like less of a refined element. But they still get like put together or come through by dressing herself in this understated way, in this delicate way, and in this very intuitive way. However, if we compare her to Sofia Coppola, we dress as less approachable and a bit less personable than Sofia. So here you see a difference between like different ways of expressing the right essence, but also highlighting different parts of the right essence in comparing her to Sofia Coppola. It can like kind of go a bit to the left and a bit up towards the left. We don't think that's where she's belong, but if you look at all these outfits, these are outfits which are more to the left and more to the right. But we think like she pulls them off, but we think you also see a clear contrast in that it's just not her at her best, because I think really a lot of like the dreaminess disappears from her in these outfits. Yeah, and so we put her kind of up, so she's not super far down, nor is she super far to the right. It was displayed like in the last slide with how she's able to pull off this more like left. Travel a bit and pull off more of this like left kind of up outfits.
Okay, and next up we have Miranda Kerr. And I think for me, Miranda, she is such a global ambassador for the pretty girl aesthetic. I think in these outfits, so Miranda, she really demonstrates this super radiant, very delicate beauty. So she has very minimalistic, the shoes, they're like flats, you know, she just has this kind of simple hairstyle that looks like she just woke up like that, even though of course she didn't. And even with her makeup, is very minimal. She's using also a lot of kind of very delicate femininity details in terms of these small patterns and ruffles and the bow and stuff, just to give her this very softness in her appearance. And I think this softness really gives her this vibe of being very approachable, very understated, and very easy. In contrast, I mean, she's a model, right? So she wears all kinds of looks. And I think that a lot of times we look at somebody like who is just objectively beautiful and we think, wow, this is a rich, skinny lady in a very fancy outfit, like I like. But ultimately, it's just not really present in these photos at all. It's just like a very edgy, like sexy side. And of course you can be like sexy, a little bit hard to be edgy if you're right down. But I think like this just looks very forced and very alien, and it's really not giving us that dreamy, luminous inspiration that Miranda brings to the world, and that's her signature aesthetic gift.
Yeah, I think like what really gets lost here, even though it wasn't like a core part of the way she filters her rightness, what gets lost here is this like personability of like her. And which I think is interesting because even though that isn't like the core part of the way she filters her rightness, you can still see that she must have it. She can't like override it, because then it becomes kind of like weird.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's good. So we put her here. We think that she is actually really quite down, but she's not super far to the right. Now we have Issa Rae.
Yeah, we think Issa Rae is really interesting because we think she's a good example of someone who dresses in this very, I would say, very intuitive way, right?
Oh yeah,
it just like looks like she just like went into a wardrobe, and the wardrobe is like full of clothes, but she just like intuitively like picked out easily, just like blindfolded like the outfits that would like look the best of her, and she could do this in the store.
And then she just looks in the mirror, she's like, oh, and then she goes.
Yeah, and then she goes, and she just like jumps out, and she's ready to conquer the world. And we think for her, it's really about like the sun and this like luminosity coming out of her, like steaming out of her, radiating out of her, you know. And we think these are just outfits which she looks great in, and she's just a beautiful example of a right down lady.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah, so we have her kind of like far to the right and far down. I think that her essence is really this like luminosity and this like the sun, and that is just really exemplified in her.
Yeah, I think like of all the women we've looked at so far, it's like she's the most right in her being closest to the sweetheart.
Yeah, exactly.
Which brings us actually to Reese Witherspoon, iconic legend. So I mean, Reese Witherspoon, it's really interesting to me because aside from being, you know, an iconic actress, she's also like a very inspirational person in Hollywood, with ad caring for women's like films and production companies. And I think that while she is this very wealthy, successful, inspirational role model, she does it with this very like down-to-earth, extremely personable, no-frills kind of way, and that's really reflected in all these outfits where she's just like, yeah, I mean, she's wearing heels, you know, but it's nothing really complex is going on. And of course she is in Kibi Agamin, which means that she needs, or you know, like looks best with a lot of like contrast and animation. So I think to some extent, these looks are a bit more active than they would be for some other right-down women, but on her, they read kind of intuitive and simple. And she's really known for this laid-back, preppy style, where her outfits are very intentional but very easy. We think of her as really like the ultimate girl next door in some way, which is really fascinating given how famous and fancy she is. So we just really put her right down in that bottom right corner.
Yeah. And next we come to Shang-Chi, and I really want to apologize if I butcher this name. English is my second language, and I'm also severely dyslexic, so please have like mercy on me for my failures here. But yeah, so we think she's a very interesting example, because now we've kind of gone through a lot of like right-down women that have been like signified to some extent, and to sometimes to a significant extent, by their like approachability, their ease, their like personableness. But here, we don't think that's the case. She has very little of these like qualities, right? For her, it's really about filtering her rightness through this like in this understated fashion, and not in this intuitive sense, but in this sense of like ease and delicateness and delicate.
Yeah, exactly. Like in all these pictures we chose, she's wearing maybe like a little bit sweeping, interesting garments, but it's kind of like single tone and very simple. Whereas she does wear a lot of fancy, fun couture.
Yeah.
And we think again, like she looks nice in it. Like it's not like she shouldn't wear it.
Exactly.
But we think like, you know, if she wants to bring her essence, she has a very understated, refined, luminous look. So it's like the simpler the clothes, the brighter she shines.
And she doesn't have to go for dressing herself or like filtering her rightness, which really I think her right essence really is centered around like the refined and the luminous and the inspiring almost.
Oh, very inspiring.
But she doesn't have to filter this through like any type of approachability. For her, it's really just going for this like delicate and understated like manner.
Yeah, it's really good. And now we have Geraldine Viswanathan. Okay, I was really excited about showing her because even though she's not like as big of a star, I think her style is so great representative for the right down, especially for people that get confused about kind of like bright or deep colors for the right down. Because like a lot of these outfits I like on her, she's using kind of bold coloring, but she has quite bold coloring. She's a winter, I guess. And I think that mostly the fact that she uses these bold colors in very simple shades and just really, again, like having very minimal accessories. Like she doesn't even have a purse in 3 of these outfits. She has very minimal jewelry. So she's kind of letting the color speak for itself in the outfit. And again, just kind of gently following the shape of her body and just really coming off in this very easy, very approachable way that really like lets her radiance shine through this very understated way. It's like your focus is not really on her clothes, it's just on her and like the energy she's bringing to the room. And when you see her in these outfits, you're like, I want to like sit next to this lady at this awards table. Like that's the table I want to be at. And I think that's very inspiring for the right down women.
Yeah. So now, so as you have seen, hopefully, it's like, although the right down women can get really associated with this like girl next door look and this like approachable girl who's just like has this like great intuitive styling. It doesn't have to be that. They're actually the right down women. They come in many forms and have many different expression of their rightness, and the rightness is also like diverse.
Yeah, because ultimately we are trying to put like billions of women into different categories. But the diversity is there, but it's being held together.
Yeah, definitely.
By the right downness. So now I want to talk about the archetypes, which is the place where I kind of get like poetic. And this is not so concrete styling tips. This is more like my musings on like the energy based on my interactions and work with right down women and our intense scrutiny of celebrity photos. So down in the bottom right corner, we have what I call the sweetheart. And some women might cringe at this word. It places such a big burden on you to be sweet. It's like, I'm not that sweet. But I'm not talking about how sweet you literally are. I'm talking about the fact that women with this energy have this innate gift of getting people to lower their guard. Everybody likes you, like obviously, you know, in a human way, like not everybody, but people that just, they want to like you. They want to be on your team. They want to have you on their team. They want to have you lead their team because they think you're like a no-nonsense person who's going to get things done and not be drama and just be consistent, like the sun. So stylistically, this doesn't mean always leaning into this like sugary, sweet, feminine look. But if that feels right to you, like do lean into it. Because that's the thing that is true for our entire style system.
Yes,
it's like, if you've seen women and you're like, oh, that looks so forced, like fake feminine. It's like, okay, on her.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not gonna look like, nobody's telling Reese Witherspoon to stop trying to be so cute. They're not like, Reese, you know, you're not a 20-year-old from Tennessee. Like, why are you dressed like that? They're like, oh, like more, you know, more.
Yeah, and it's just like, also like, remember that just because you come to grips with the fact that you are the sweetheart, that doesn't mean that you don't have like the ability like to stand up for yourself or anything. Because remember, you are also simultaneously the ice queen, ready to come out at any moment. Any moment.
So the key aesthetics here for the sweetheart are fresh and delicate. I like to tell my clients, like, think of yourself as like a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and I usually tell them like what specific flower they are. And I'm like, you know, like it's like you're sitting at a table and somebody brings this huge like bouquet of flowers, and it's like, okay, it's in a nice vase, like great, maybe you know there's like a bit of leaves set in for ornamentation, but like that's it. That's the beauty, that's the energy, that's the radiance. There's no need to cover it up, complicated layers, weighing it down. Like there's no need. It's like already beautiful and lovely. Okay, now we're moving into like the center. I call this archetype the Illuminatrix. And everybody's like, what? Is that a real word?
Is that a word?
It means she who illuminates. I don't know if it's a real word, but basically to me, this woman is pure light energy. Kind of like the sun. She's always there, shining her light, so radiant, so effortless. The Illuminatrix. Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
So she's the person who brings light to the world. And by that, I again don't mean like you always have to be cheerful, but it's more like whatever energy you have in you, you are bringing it to your situations and people are really excited. So similar bit to the sweetheart, it's like you can get away with things and people want kind of your fresh take and they just trust you and they want to be around you. So style-wise, to me, this archetype is about complete intuition, light, and freedom. So anything that looks restrictive, complicated, or forced can seem so artificial. And what looks forced and restrictive, again, like depends on like your body type and whom you are and your situations, right? It's not about keeping your looks as minimal or as simple as possible. It's more important that there's like a purity of intention and it's coming from the heart, you know? Like you can break a lot of fashion rules, and for the Illuminatrix also, you can kind of like, you can do other looks, like you can try it out. It's more about like who you're being in those clothes.
But I feel like here's where we really can get into like how this system is really centered so much around like what a person feels, right? Because if you wear this outfit that is kind of like minimalistic, but you just feel it weighing heavy on you because you know the minimalism doesn't come naturally to you. You really have to think it through. You really have to like pick it out, and you just kind of go around adjusting the clothes because you don't really know how it should sit. Then it's not gonna come off as like intuitive and like easy. So it might be sometimes that like for you as a right down person, right down woman, to come off more intuitive and easy is actually to wear things which are a bit less minimalistic, you know. That's like perfectly possible, because like the most important thing is that while you wear it, it feels easy, it feels intuitive to you.
Yeah, like in the concept in your mind, it's really easy. Definitely, it was like a very good analysis. Thank you very much for being here today. Now we're going to move into our segment of style advice. So So we say thank you and goodbye to Bill Mirage. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is something people have asked me a lot about, like how do I know if I am in the write down quadrant? So I have come up with like a little, I don't know, like list of hints and tips that you might be write down. So again, this is not like a quiz, but you know, see if you can relate. First, you try to really dress up for special events, but it always feels really artificial, and as the evening goes on, you just find yourself kind of like taking off the pieces, wiping off the makeup, taking off the jewelry until you can like breathe again. Second, you compare yourself to the op colleagues or your friends and family, and you think like, okay, that is a fancy, like proper lady. That's a serious person. That's maybe how I should be dressing to show that I'm a serious person. 3, like what you hate the most is when your clothes like get in the way of who you are, and like you feel that in, you know, in your body, like it's one like you can just like tell in your mind it's not working for you and it bothers you. 4, you prefer dainty jewelry and things in general that are very minimal. You don't really like to carry like bags. You maybe just want to use like a little crossbody or a little clutch bag, even though you admire them on others. It just feels so like extra on you very easily. 5, you love to show skin maybe in like an easy way, but there's so many styles that somehow just feel like too sexy for you, even though objectively they're really not that sexy, and they may not even be more revealing than your other styles. But again, it's just the vibe to you is too sexy. Number 6, your dream aesthetic is not really to like impress anybody or to stand out. You just want to show up as yourself and to kind of be free and, you know, have fun in the world. And number 7, you've played around with a capsule wardrobe idea, and the approach of mixing and matching really excites you because it feels like it gives you this flexibility to decide based on the day what you want to be wearing and how you want to show up in the world. I know that this advice has really been focused on the like feeling rather than on clear physical descriptors. So I will hopefully talk more about in the future about how to like really examine your look and vibe. But I think starting with how things, like the logic of things or the feeling of things, is the best place to start. Now I want to talk a little bit, before I talk about tips, I want to talk about misplacing yourself. So I think that a lot of women actually try to dress in the right down way or style themselves in the right down way, even though that's not where they belong. I think this happens because the right down quadrant is kind of socially desirable, right? It's a woman who is unthreatening because she's not vulnerable, she's not taking too much space, she's just being herself. And for the right down woman, dressing in this way really allows for her natural radiance to come through, so she effortlessly shines in these styles. But on a woman who doesn't belong to the right down quadrant, this styling just appears very neutral and bland. It is a really effective and powerful form of self-erasure. You really disappear as a person into your like rules of what a classy lady wears. So I think ultimately a lot of us have this desire to be a good girl. We fear making a statement. We fear the vulnerability that comes with being left down. So we kind of sort ourselves into this right down thing. So ask yourself, you know, like, are these clothes like a way to make myself smaller, a way to make myself disappear? Because they would not be for the right down lady. But let's talk about styling tips now. My first and main styling tip is just like, don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to be anyone else or to dress like anyone else. You're good enough just the way you are, and the more you approve yourself and your fashion, the more other people will pick up on that and approve of you, which they already want to do. Like, as I keep saying, for you, it's really not about the clothes you wear, it's about the energy your clothes allow you to channel. So if you remember on the Write Up video, for example, I talked a lot about how clothes are so important for the Write Up woman. When she puts together an ensemble and she creates this persona, like the Kate Middleton, she arrives and her style and her being communicates to people like something about how the event is supposed to be. For the right down woman, the clothes are also communicating, but they're really communicating about who you are in the situation. So you're like setting the tone in a very different way. It's really about just who you are allowing yourself to be in the clothes, if that makes sense. Again, I know this is like a bit philosophical. But But the point is that, yeah, your clothes and style, they may require effort for you, but it's the appearance of effortlessness and intuition that matters, as Maraj very beautifully expressed. Heavy or bulky accessories will really weigh you down. They will really block off your energy. So I've just noticed like bags in general are a big struggle for write-down women, because they're just, even if you are like very yang physically, can just be difficult. Again, like if you feel like carrying a big bag, like go for it. I just noticed that that's a struggle point. In general, like what we call simple and clean lines on outfits are really nice on you. So gently skimming the silhouette, maybe some like drapiness or like asymmetry, but generally not a lot of like animation and detail. Likewise, I think like makeup should be kept natural or a little bit playful, a little bit glam, but again, just something that allows you to show yourself to the world. Jewelry, you should use jewelry to complement your outfit. So really like don't shy away from having some fun with earrings or bracelets or rings. Use colors or shapes that relate or contrast to your outfit to really like allow for this to be a bit of a whimsical, a little bit playful. But again, things that are very heavy will just kind of make you disappear a bit. You can use high contrasting color schemes to create some unexpected play in your outfit. So like neon straps on the shoes or something can be really just like fun and exciting and fresh. On dressier occasions, showing your skin like on your arms or your legs is a really fun way to like dress down and not get too swallowed by a fancy look. Like obviously you have to stay situationally appropriate, but this I just found it's like a way to let your body breathe more. Dark colors can definitely be a part of your palette if you're leaning into the refined or inspiring looks, or if you have like very dark hair or darker complexion and you're leaning for this very like easy look. But generally, like I would really recommend using your version of radiant and light colors and bringing those into your palette and seeing what role they can play. And the main thing is just to really use your clothes as a guide to the energy you want to bring to the day. Like, what is it that's gonna help you really show up the way you want to today? So I think the write-down lady really struggles a bit with like feeling like you're not enough, that you need to be more fancy or complicated, feeling like you're too plain, like it needs to be more interesting, and then going also too far in the other direction with these very severe minimalistic schedules that give you no room to play, to explore, like be creative, and also just not giving yourself time to actually enjoy fashion or get dressed. You're like, well, my look is so minimal anyway, I just throw things on and go. But it's like, it's still make it your time when you're getting dressed for the day or planning your outfits or whatever. That is a time to really consider like who you're gonna be in this situation. So give yourself that time. Even though your outfit may not be so like complex, you still really deserve to give yourself a moment to feel into it. I've come up with a few like keywords that I found really help the write-down clients I've had, which is like, first of all, definitely intentionality. This is a focus on a lot of these like how to look chic videos. It's like, just because you want to keep things simple doesn't mean you don't want intentionality. So you want to like have patterns or textures that relate to each other. You want to use accessories to finish the look. You want like your hair to match thematically to the outfit. The second thing is play. Yeah, I think like just allow yourself to combine things in unexpected ways. Allow yourself a bit of whimsy. Try out some more fun patterns, or like just tiny little watermelon earrings or whatever you want to try out. Just like allow yourself to play a bit. And also this kind of creativity and flexibility. Let yourself test things out that may not specifically be on the rules for you. And let yourself not necessarily have just one outfit, but give yourself the space to put things together in a few different ways based on your mood that morning. That really allows for you to actually bring in that intuitive feeling to the outfit. And finally, just like the keyword freedom. It's like if you don't feel free in the outfit, then it's probably a good sign that that outfit is kind of pushing you into some direction that you don't actually want to go. I would love to talk at length about some more celebrity write-down examples. Like Solange is just the person I love, can talk about forever, or like Dakota Johnson or Saoirse Ronan. But what I want to say mostly is that I think that all of these women are great examples of the fact that they do very simple and they really shine well in these kind of like simple, elegant looks, but they can also like do quite a lot, and it's just there's a lot of opportunity for you as a write-down woman to kind of like play and explore and explore. Yeah, but I want to finish the video with a controversial take, which is that Mirage and I, in thinking about this video, we're talking about Alexa Chung, and to me, she's one of the bigger proponents, of course, of the write-down, like current incarnation, the carefree, I don't know, elegant, simple lady. And our controversial take is like we actually think that she is right up, and we don't think she's right down. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and I want to finish off on that spicy take, and I'll see you next time for the left down video. Bye.